채널 모르시는 분들도 진짜 관심 가지고 많이 봐주시면 좋을 것 같아요. 저는 진짜 회복 탄력성에 살아있는 증거라고 생각을 합니다. 정말 대단하신 분이에요.
맞아요, 맞아요.
형이 그 채널에 한 번 더 나가고 우리가 이제 카메라를 들고 나가서 형을 찍을게. 그 다음에 그걸 올리자.
옆에서 몰래.
네.
초청 안 했는데 그냥 그 미라클 스튜디오로 찾아갈까요 그냥?
카메라를 켜고.
안녕하세요. 불러주셔서 왔습니다. 이러면서.
케이팝 데몬 헌터스 재밌다 하더라고요.
그러게요.
네.
사자 보이즈 얘기 많이 하시더라고요. 거기 나오는 보이그룹.
네, 규영쌤 손에 치킨 드셔도 됩니다. 몇 번째 치킨을 계속 들고 있어요. 이게
네.
무슨 의미인지 궁금하네요.
먹도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 한 2분밖에 안 남았는데 좀 뭐 어땠나요? 오늘 좀 하실 말 없어요?
일단은 목소리가 이래서 너무 죄송합니다. 많은 분들께서 또 걱정도 해주시고 어쩌면은 좀 듣고 싶지 않다는 생각을 하셨을 수도 있을 것 같은데 쾌차에서 돌아올 거고요. 사실은 좀 이제 몸이 안 좋아서 오늘 나올까 말까 좀 고민을 했거든요. 근데 그래도 이제 라이브는 또 좀 특별하잖아요. 자주 있는 자리도 아니고 또 이걸 하면서 이렇게 여러분하고 소통을 하는 과정에서 또 얻는 에너지가 분명히 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 약간 놓치고 싶지 않다라는 생각이 들어서 나왔습니다.
네, 리샘님께서 인꼬부부 분량이 많이 없어서 아쉬웠다. 저는 이럴 때 좀 긴장해서 말도 많이 안 했던 것 같고요. 근데 사실 제가 좀 쓴소리 되게 많이 했는데 원래 제가 쓴소리 잘하잖아요.
사전거 아이신 때리지 마세요.
쓴소리 맘먹고 좀 많이 한 게 있었는데 좀 그런 것 같아요. 근데 뒤에 차에 갈수록 제가 얘기하는 게 점점 더 많이 나오지 않을까 생각합니다. 최근에는 얘기도 되게 많이 했었고 저도 재밌게 찍었었는데 저희 구독자분들도 좀 재밌게 봐주시면 좋겠고요. 그냥 단순히 뭐 도파민만 나오고 비난하는 게 아니라 그냥 사람에 대해서 이해해보는 데 좀 도움이 될 수 있도록 만들어진 부분이 있다고 생각을 하거든요. 네, 저희 내용자들 저는
맞는 건 상관없어요.
오랜만에 라이브 왔는데도 이렇게 200명 분들이 끝까지 함께 해주셔서 진심으로 너무 감사하고요. 올해 꼭 30만을 채워서 저희도 뭔가 좀 해보고 싶습니다.
좋고요.
부탁드리겠습니다.
네.
아까부터 계속 돌리고 있더라고요.
네.
좋습니다. 이제 거의 다 시간이 다 됐네요. 인사를
네. 라니스님께서 마지막으로 물어보셨는데 이거 좀 어떤 뜻이실까요? 약 설명에 먹으면 식욕증과 부작용이 있다는데 이러면 대부분 식욕이 늘겠냐?
그러니까 사실 약설명에 나와 있는 부작용은 정말 모든 게 다 실려 있어요.
맞아요.
예.
불안 초조도 있으면서 졸림도 있어.
네.
네.
불면도 있고 졸림도 있고요.
맞아요.
네, 뭐 진짜 가능한 거 보고된 것들을 다 실어놨기
변비도
때문에
있으면서 설사도 있고요.
네, 정말 모든 게 다 있어요.
네.
그래서 그 부작용을 면밀하게 관찰하고 잘 치료하는 것도 중요한데 그 나와 있는 부작용 목록 가지고 먼저 너무 두려워하실 필요는 없습니다. 제가 이거 언젠가 한번 진짜 꼭 저 영상 찍어보고 싶은데요. 진짜로 저 영상 제가 기획하고 있는 거 하나 있잖아요. 저희 채널 댓글 달아주시는 것들도 보면은 진짜 그 광고성 댓글들
네.
되게 많아요. 정신과 약물 저 먹고 살쪘어요 막 이러면서 마지막에 그래서 누가 추천한 이거 먹었더니 괜찮아졌어요라는 광고성 댓글들을 사실 저희 채널에 공격이 되게 많이 들어옵니다.
네.
저는 그런 얘기들이 사실 마케팅, 공포 마케팅, 정신과에 대한 불안을 키워서 뭔가 이득을 보려는 세력들도 진짜 계속해서 정신과에 대한 안 좋은 이미지를 만드는데 기여하고 있다고 생각해요. 제가 그 댓글들, 스샷들 다 모으고 있는데
한번 사서 먹어볼까요?
좋은 거 아니야?
실제로? 이런 효과 있는지
네.
없다고.
진짜 한번 좀 네, 마케팅 하시는 분들 이거 잘 안 보겠지만 혹시 보고 계시면 저희 채널에 좀 그런 댓글들 안 해주셨으면 좋겠어요. 필터링 정말 많이 하고 있습니다. 네.
오, 수아 씨.
감사합니다.
네, 또 반가운 이름이네요. 진짜 오랜만에. 네, 잘 지내고 계신지 모르겠어요.
갑자기 그냥 거액을 쾌척하고
그러게요.
쿨하게.
네.
그 승아 씨 맞으시겠죠?
네.
네. 그리고 굉장히 좀 든든합니다. 나이트 비포 더 엔드 님께서 30만 꼭 보내드릴게요라고 다소 쓸쓸한 말투로 말씀해 주셨는데
점점점.
기대도 되는 거죠?
계정을 10,000개쯤 파셔야지.
언제 보내주신다 말씀 없으셨잖아요.
아
네.
언젠가는.
네.
네네네. 아,
감사합니다.
근데 너무 든든합니다 이렇게.
네, 감사합니다.
예.
그럼 오늘 한번 어느덧 마무리할 때가 되었군요.
네. 끝까지 함께해 주신 여러분께 진심으로 감사드리고요. 저희는 아마도 다음 달에 또 라이브로
네.
찾아뵙지 않을까 싶습니다. some
I really like you guys. I consider it a privilege to be able to drop in unscheduled and talk to you. Thank you for making time for me. I know you're busy. I'm going to say a few things about the challenges of life. But first, I want to congratulate the new avatars. You are acquiring a set of tools that you can use if you choose to unlock your greatest potential. Use if you choose. And of course, you can sit back and let temptation and circumstance shape your life and your beliefs and your character. It's not what I'd advise, but plenty of people do it that way. And as always, if there's something that I say that you don't agree with, just label it another viewpoint. I mean, since our life experiences evoke different choices, it's not surprising that the conclusions that we draw are different too. My choice is to live deliberately. I feel so strongly about that I wrote a book called Living Deliberately. Maybe you've heard of it. The avatar tools won't do you much good if you don't choose to use them. But if you start out using them deliberately and continue using them until they become a habit, you will learn to live deliberately. Circumstances might get you there, but it's unlikely. And temptations, which start out hot, soon cool off. Do you want another word for temptation? It's an attractive desire that promises quick happiness. I heard a story about twin brothers. One was a ruined bum and a drunkard, and the other was happy. You will learn to live deliberately and continue using them until they become a habit. You will learn to live deliberately. Circumstances might get you there, but it's unlikely. And temptations, which start out hot, soon cool off. Do you want another word for temptation? It's an attractive desire that promises quick happiness. I heard a story about twin brothers. One was a ruined bum and a drunkard, and the other was happy and successful. And somebody asked the drunkard how he came to be where he was. His answer was, I'm where I am today because my father was a drunk. And the successful brother was asked the same question. How did you come to be where you are? Want to know his answer? I'm where I am today, he said, because my father was a drunk. Same temptation, same circumstances, two different outcomes. Temptation and circumstance only shape your life if you choose to let them. And there will always be temptation and circumstances that you have to live through. But you don't have to let them ruin your life. Hard times, everyone has to deal with a few. These are the challenges of life. Will you deliberately choose, or will you let temptation and circumstance make the choice for you? Viktor Frankl, who survived a Nazi concentration camp, wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Circumstance make the choice for you. Or will you let temptation and circumstance make the choice for you? Viktor Frankl, who survived a Nazi concentration camp, wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Now, because my father was a drunk, which brother made a deliberate choice? Which brother allowed temptation and circumstances to shape his life? I'm a big promoter of deliberately practicing virtues. And it's not because I'm a great paragon or model of virtue, but because I think that the struggle between temptation and deliberately practicing virtues is the real game that we came here to play. I don't mean to sound like a preacher, but there it is all the same. It's the ageless battle between good and evil. Maybe you just believe in good and don't believe in evil. It's the ageless battle. Deliberately practicing virtues is the real game that we came here to play. I don't mean to sound like a preacher, but there it is all the same. It's the ageless battle between good and evil. Maybe you just believe in good and don't believe in evil. Someone once told me that the model of evil is, I don't exist. But without the contrast of evil, you wouldn't have good. Could you be good if you couldn't be evil? I mean, which side do you want to be on? Not everybody chooses the side of good. There are some people who measure their success by the amount of suffering they inflict. I give a lecture in Wizards called Virtues. You ought to see me, I get really steamed up. And the message is that virtues are not shoulds or shouldn'ts, but they're wise advice on how to live a happy life. Virtues are the nuts and bolts of a spiritual path. Human virtue is the courage to act like a merciful God would act. A merciful God. Do you act toward others like a merciful God would act? That's a tough question. Virtues are also good strategies. Some people have virtue mixed up with judgment or suffering. or living a really dull, boring life. That's a wrong view. Virtues are time-tested strength up with. Virtues are also good strategies. Some people have virtue mixed up with judgment or suffering or living a really dull, boring life. That's a wrong view. Virtues are time-tested strategies for dealing with whatever the world throws at you and coming out of it a merciful God, and for dealing with all boring life. All boring life. That's a wrong view. Virtues are time-tested strategies for dealing with whatever all boring life. That's a wrong view. Virtues are time-tested strategies for dealing with whatever the world throws at you and coming out of it a merciful God, an avatar. You develop these virtues by working on yourself. Jim Rohn, a renowned business philosopher who I admire, says that the secret to success is to work harder on yourself than you do the job. That's good advice. What? If you work hard on the job, he says, you will make a living. If you work hard on yourself, he says, you will make a fortune. And I've got my own version of that philosophy. If you work hard on developing virtues, you'll not only be successful, you'll be happy when you get there. Success is no protection against depression. Virtuous actions are. Virtues are like patience, kindness. Virtues are like depression. Philosophy. If you work hard on developing virtues, you'll not only be successful, you'll be happy when you get there. Success is no protection against depression. Virtuous actions are. Virtues are like patience, kindness, forgiveness, tolerance, compassion, responsibility. I once made a list of virtuous actions, and I had over 100 on the list. And it's an easy list to make because you have a built-in virtue meter. It's called feeling good about yourself. Any action that you take out of loving kindness will register on your virtue meter. Your honest intention is what moves the meter. I once made a list of virtuous actions, and I had over 100 on the list. And it's an easy list to make because you have a built-in virtue meter. It's called feeling good about yourself. Any action that you take out of loving kindness will register on your virtue meter. Your honest intention is what moves the meter. And you might refer to your virtue meter as a moral compass, or intuition, or guidance from the higher self. Or intuition. Or guidance from the higher self. Virtuous acts make us noble. They connect us with a divine current that in our best, sanest moments, we would sacrifice anything to join. Here's something interesting that you probably already know. How many ends to a stick? How many directions to a path? Always at least two, right? For every virtue, there is an opposite vice. And virtues nurture loving kindness. Vices nurture. For every virtue, there is an opposite vice. And virtues nurture loving kindness. Vice Vices nurture selfish fears. Okay, positive and negative. This is a two-pole universe. There's love and kindness at one pole, and fear and evil at the other pole. And it appears to me that the life stream flows from the positive, which is motivated by service to the universe, down to the negative, where it disappears into egocentric selfishness. Did you know that there are no virtues connected solely with concern for self? I mean, there are a few virtues that, there are a few virtues that are connected with concern for family, and a few connected with loyalty to a group, but most are connected with love and kindness for strangers. To a group, but most are connected with love and kindness for strangers. Wow, isn't that interesting? The life stream washes around you. Few connected with loyalty to a group, but there are a few virtues that are connected with concern for family, and a few connected with loyalty to a group. But most are connected with love and kindness for strangers. Wow, isn't that interesting? The life stream washes around you, and you know what? The virtues are always upstream. And we talk about ascension, rising higher, higher self, aspiring, all upstream. I don't know why it is that way. Maybe we are meant to turn into the life stream and maybe the challenge is swimming into the current. I mean, succumbing to temptation doesn't take much effort. Practicing virtues, at least at the beginning, it takes a lot of effort. Challenge is swimming into the current. Rising higher, higher self, aspiring, all upstream. I don't know why it is that way. Maybe we are meant to turn into the life stream, and maybe the challenge is swimming into the current. But the virtues are always upstream. And we talk about ascension, rising higher, higher self, aspiring, all upstream. Higher self, aspiring, all upstream. Well, I don't know why it is that way. Maybe we are meant to turn into the life stream, and maybe the challenge is swimming into the current. I mean, succumbing to temptation doesn't take much effort. Maybe we are meant to turn into the life stream, and maybe the challenge is swimming into the current. I mean, succumbing to temptation doesn't take much effort. Practicing virtues, at least at the beginning, it takes a lot of effort. Maybe you think this isn't fair, that living deliberately takes effort, that life is a challenge, that at least at the beginning, it takes a lot of effort. Maybe you think this isn't fair, that living deliberately takes effort, that life is a challenge, that the best rewards are upstream. But even my tilapias seem to know this. Virtue is helping someone, and wisdom is knowing who to help. Helping a serial killer to commit more crimes is probably a lack of wisdom. Or helping a sociopath to wreck the work of good people is a lack of wisdom. more crimes is probably a lack of wisdom, or helping a sociopath to wreck the work of good people is a lack of wisdom. Buddha said, to walk safely through the maze of human life, one needs the light of wisdom and the guidance of virtue. The setting one needs the light of wisdom and the guidance of virtue. Setting the wisdom issue aside for a moment, here's the brutal bottom line on virtues and vices. An action done with harmful intent brings suffering into your life. An action done with good intent brings happiness into your life. It would be wisdom if we would print that on our money, so it kept reminding us. Maybe that's what in God we trust means. I don't know. I do believe that an action done with harmful intent brings suffering into your life, and that an action done with good intent brings happiness into your life. And a person can get into a state, mostly through transgressions and bad intentions, where they feel they deserve to suffer. And this is where confession and forgiveness can turn, mostly through transgressions and bad intentions. I do believe that an action done with harmful intent brings suffering into your life, and that an action done with good intent brings happiness into your life. And a person can get into a state mostly through transgressions and bad intentions where they and bad intentions where mostly through transgressions and bad intentions where they feel they deserve to suffer. And this is where confession and forgiveness can turn a life around. I was 24 by the time I discovered the value of virtue. And by that time, I was really out of practice. Don't wake that long. I wasted a lot of life going with the flow. Have you seen the No Fear t-shirts? My t-shirt would have said, no effort. I was drifting downstream in the current of temptation and circumstance. Hey man, be cool. Oh, chill, don't take sides. Love the one you're with. Hey, if it feels good, do it. You know where that philosophy of life took me? Downstream. I was treading water. I was heading for a divorce. I hated my work. Yeah, it was real cool, though. One of the few people who would still be straight with me, my dad, gave me some advice. Son, if you're going to get anywhere, you need to take control of your life. What fabulous advice. I mean, fabulous advice. I knew it was genius, you know, was right. Do you like good advice? Sure. Son, if you're going to get anywhere, you need to take control of your life. Took me 10 years to figure out how to take control of my life. You see, I was working at it from within the mind, thinking, figuring, which is like stirring a boiling pot of temptation while you're sitting in the middle of the pot. That's a lot of cooking. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. It took me 10 years to discover that taking control of my life could only be done from source. I'm not a fast learner. Wasn't it kind of God to finally take pity on me and let me discover Avatar? The Avatar is the quick start instructions for taking control of your life. Now you can be up and running in 9 days. That's fast. You might not be able to improve the world a lot in 9 days, but you can accomplish miracles in your own life. and your life is where you start. And when you start to get that squared away, there's the master's course. You know, most of the people who know me know that I'm an amateur gardener. And they also know that when I talk about the mind, I'll probably start using the garden for an analogy. Now what? If it was good enough for Buddha and Christ, it's good enough for me. Okay, I could be more modern and creative and use an analogy like you go down to the local mind store and you buy this fabulous mind that's hungry for thoughts. You bring your mind home in a big box and you body modem it into the collective consciousness. And as soon as you boot it up, it will multiply, amplify, and defend whatever it finds. Hey, and don't worry about saving the packing box. Once this mind is out of the box, it'll never go back. It will multiply into the collective. And you body modem it into the collective consciousness. And as soon as you boot it up, it will multiply, amplify. And defend whatever it finds. Hey, and don't worry about saving the packing box. Once this mind is out of the box. Now what? If it was good enough for, and you body modem it into the collective consciousness. And as soon as you boot it up, it will multiply, amplify, and defend whatever it finds. Hey, and don't worry about saving the packing box. Once this mind is out of the box, it'll never go back. Your new mind doesn't care what thoughts you put in it. It will Doesn't care what thoughts you put in it. It will amplify, multiply, and defend anything you put in. Anything you put in it. That's fantastic when you think about it. Uh-huh. In fact, the more you think about it, the more amplified the idea becomes. The mind will amplify, multiply, and defend anything you put or allow into it. If you want to trash the mind up with dirty pictures or plans for revenge or grudges or fantasies about being rich and famous, it doesn't care. It will amplify, multiply, and defend a rumor as quickly as it will the truth. To a mind, one thought tastes pretty much like another thought. As quickly as air, it will amplify, multiply, and defend a rumor as quickly. As it will the truth. To a mind, one thought tastes pretty much like another thought. It's hungry for thinking, and it doesn't care what you feed it, as long as you feed it. What are they saying to it? As long as you feed it. For thinking, and it doesn't care what you feed it, as long as you feed it. What do they say in the computer world? Garbage in, garbage out. It's like that. Just out of curiosity, were computers modeled after the human mind, or then you have to stretch way across the stars for this possibility. Were human minds modeled after computers? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? You see why I feel a lot safer with the garden analogy? So let me illustrate it like this. Your mind is a fertile garden. Whatever you plant will seek to survive and grow. And if you don't deliberately plant anything, a crop of temptation weeds will grow. Anytime you make a primary, or for that matter, an excuse, you're planting a thought that will seek to survive and grow. Anytime you characterize yourself or another, you're planting a thought that will seek to survive and grow. Anytime you voice a limitation, you're planting a thought that will seek to survive and grow. Anytime you set a goal or you create a belief, you're planting a thought that will seek to survive and grow. You see, the garden doesn't care what you plant. I think one of the wisest sayings that I ever heard was, "You reap what you sow." And it's true. But some crops require a lot more work than other crops. I have practical experience with this. I planted tomato seeds with the expectation of harvesting tomatoes. Wow, it was a struggle. Oh, there were a lot of secondaries. I had to keep the bugs away, I had to keep the plants watered, shade them from the summer sun, battle the weeds. But the final creation was a harvest of fresh tomatoes. Can you imagine how good I felt bringing a bowl of perfect tomatoes into the house and giving them to Avra? Wow, I felt like a winner. Now, I could have planted temptation weeds and there wouldn't have been any secondaries with the bugs or the weather, but no valuable harvest either. I was in, damn, I should have planted something useful. So, what do you prefer? Wow, I feel like a winner, or damn, I should have planted something useful. As you draw your last breath in life, are you going to go, wow, or damn? See, here's that upstream lesson again. It's harder to grow a perfect tomato than it is to grow temptation weeds. But the personal reward for growing tomatoes is a whole lot better. If you intend to live with
Does it go back to what was it? You only see what you expect to see inside the body. You multiply, expand, grow, grow. Quickly find the root.
without putting forth any effort,
TV
you're going to end up
메인
with
미사에
temptation weeds.
참석할 수 없는 사람들에게
Damn.
영성적인 위로를 주는
I should have
저희의
planted something useful.
프로그램입니다.
And well, these really,
오늘은 7월
as you
4일
sow,
연중
so
제13주간
Live your life.
금요일입니다. 모든 민족들아
Good.
손뼉을 쳐라 기뻐 소리치며 하느님께 환호하여라.
성부와 성자와 성령의 이름으로
아멘.
우리 주 예수 그리스도의 은총과 하느님의 사랑과 성령의 증교가 여러분 모두와 함께
또한 사제의 영과 함께
형제자매 여러분, 구원의 신비를 합당하게 거행하기 위하여 우리 죄를 반성합시다. 전능하신 하느님과
형제들에게 고백하오니 생각과 말과 행위로 죄를 많이 지었으며 자주 의무를 소홀히 하였나이다. 제 탓이요 제 탓이요 저의 큰 탓이옵니다. 그러므로 간절히 바라오니 평생 동정이신 성모 마리아와 모든 천사와 성인과 형제들은 저를 위하여 하느님께 빌어주소서.
전능하신 하느님 저희에게 자비를 베푸시어 죄를 용서하시고 영원한 생명으로 이끌어 주소서.
아멘.
주님 자비를 베푸소서.
주님 자비를 베푸소서.
그리스도님 자비를 베푸소서.
그리스도님 자비를 베푸소서.
주님 자비를 베푸소서.
주님 자비를 베푸소서.
기도합시다. 하느님 천상 은총으로 저희를 빛의 자녀가 되게 하셨으니 저희가 다시는 오류의 어둠 속을 헤매지 않고 언제나 진리의 빛 속에 살게 하소서. 성부와 성령과 함께 천주로서 영원히 살아계시며 다스리시는 성자 우리 주 예수 그리스도를 통하여 비나이다.
아멘. 오늘 제일 독서는 창세기 23장 1절 이하의 말씀입니다.
창세기의 말씀입니다. 사라는 127년을 살았다. 이것이 사라가 산 횟수이다. 사라는 가나안 땅 키르얏 아르바 곧 헤브론에서 죽었다. 아브라함은 빈소에 들어가 사라의 죽음을 애도하며 슬피 울었다. 그런 다음 아브라함은 죽은 아내 앞에서 물러
At least even on a part-time basis. I think the level of autonomy you have is incredible. The financial incentive is incredible too, right? There's obviously a lot of the tax benefits of being a business owner versus a W-2 employee. You have a lot more control over your schedule, especially as a business owner. You really get to set the tone for your practice, like to have your values be in the DNA in the practice and to build it from the ground up, which for me is really, really key and really, really important. So I think the first thing I tell myself is, what took you so long?
I hear that a lot. I think we all have that inherent fear of taking that leap and just doing it, you know? And
Right.
I had a provider one time, she was really scared about doing it. And I said, what's the worst thing that could happen? That you don't do well or you decide you don't like it, then what? You go back to work for somebody else. You know, it's not, you take all that stuff as a write-off and you go back to working for somebody else. I said, but what's the best thing? And she said, well, it could work. I said, yeah. And then, you know, you'll be kicking yourself for not doing it sooner. So yeah, I think taking the jump, man, sometimes you just got to take that leap, take that first step. So starting any business comes with its challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges you say that you faced when you started your private practice?
Well, part of it was just taking a leap and starting it, right? Because when you're in a W-2 position, for the most part, you're pretty happy there. You're doing well there. Everything is really set for you. And so you can just simply continue doing that in perpetuity, and you'll be fine. I think when you start private practice, there's always a risk, right? There's a risk of, what if you spend a lot of money, it doesn't work out? What if it causes a lot of strain in your home life and in your marriage, for example? What if it's too much for you to handle and then you're facing burnout? I think having the courage and the confidence to do it, I think was probably like the first major hurdle from there. Um, I think the second hurdle was understanding that you have to spend money to make money. And so I'm someone who tends to like to be very hands-on. And you know, I have a pretty ridiculous work ethic. I get that from my parents. But at the same time, I need to understand that I need help. And so, you know, at first I was thinking about, okay, I'll try to do my own billing and try to do a lot of the other stuff. And I realized that's not really a good way to spend your time. It's
No.
better to really outsource that to other people who are very skilled at it and do very well at it. And for you to focus on what you do best, and that is seeing your patients. And then, of course, outside of that, learning how to grow, sustain your business.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are learning when to get help is really big. And then especially for those of us, sounds like you're kind of like me, I like to have my fingers on everything, you know, have your you little bit here, a little bit there, so that I know what's going on all the time. But after a while, it gets to where you can't have that, right? You can
Right.
kind of have an overall general, but you got to trust other people to do what they're supposed to be doing, and them, you know, stay in their lane, you stay in your lane, and everything runs better that way. Because when you try
Right.
to control everything, you end up not controlling anything. You're just kind of, you know, it's kind of a little chaotic. But like you said, I mean, you went to school to see patients, right? You see and treat patients. You didn't go to school to be a biller. You didn't go to school to be a virtual assistant or anything like that. Knowing when to outsource those things and get the help, I think is very, very important. And
Right.
supervisors forget that because you're expensive, right? If you think about how much you are an hour compared to someone that you could hire to come in and do that kind of stuff an hour, it makes more sense for you to see patients and pay for that and have somebody, and gives you more work-life balance at the end of the day. Because, you know, after doing this for a year, it's a lot. It's
Yes,
doing
it is.
today, you know, after you're seeing your patients, you still got work to do because not only you have charting, you got a business to run. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart. So what would you say the biggest misconception is about starting your private practice, if you had to say one?
Biggest misconception. I think that you're on your own and there's not help out there. I think one thing that I have seen from when I first started doing this, thinking about this in 2012 to the last 2 years, is there is just so much information out there. And I'm not just talking about books, there's websites, there's mentors, both free and those that you pay for. There is just so much help out there. I think a lot of times when people are starting this endeavor, they're like, I don't have an MBA. I don't know how to start a business. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Well, good news. There's all sorts of stuff out there. There's free college courses, actually. Like you can actually take courses from even reputable universities like Harvard, and you can take a business class, and it's free. I'm trying to remember the name of that particular website that does it. It'll probably come to me a little bit later. There's just a lot of help and information out there. There's SCORE, which has a lot of like, you know, business volunteers as well. There's mentors through that. There's networking opportunities. They have all sorts of just video courses for you. And so if you don't know what you're doing, it's fine because you can learn. You just have to, you know, learn at a pace that doesn't overwhelm you. But this is all stuff that's, you know, learnable. And just because you learn doesn't necessarily mean that you got to totally do it. Like I have taken the time to learn about billing, what the different billing codes are, how to maximize the billing for the work that I'm doing. I still don't want to be a biller.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that. It's good to have that information to know what to look for. For example, when you're looking to hire a biller, or when you're looking to hire like a medical assistant, for example, to know all that stuff. So,
Right.
yeah, I'd say that's a big one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to know those things because what if your biller quits one day or your front office person quits one day? Then at least you know how to limp by until you can get another person in that spot. And when you don't know anything, then it's harder for you to oversee those areas too. You know, like we want to trust everybody's doing their job, but in reality, sometimes you got to just kind of peek in every once in a while, make sure things are going okay, and then able to step back out. And if you have no idea how billing even works, then how are you going to know if there's something not right? Right. So,
And there's one other thing I thought about, and that is the financial upside of it too. So, in my personal life, I grossed in my business the same amount I make in a year in my full-time job. So, doing part-time at business, just doing weekday evenings and one weekend day, I made as much money as working full-time and my regular day job. Now, of course, that doesn't take into account things like benefits. I understand that. But the point is that if you're willing to work hard, if you want, depends on your goals. Not everybody wants this. You could potentially make at least 2x your salary, even 3x, be 4x, depending on how hard you want to work, because you know you're getting so much more back from the insurance companies and what you're grossing in your business.
Right, that somebody else was taking before.
Right, that nobody else is taking.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and the benefits are there, right? I mean, you obviously you're not getting PTO, but if you're making that much money, you don't need the PTO. You pay for your own time off, right? Like you
Right.
have that money there, and then benefits. Sometimes a partner can carry the benefits for you, or getting insurance on your own is not the cheapest thing in the world, but it can be done. You can get your own insurance policies. Pay for your own 401k and stuff. And if you're making 2 or 3 times what you're making in your job, then that's something that you don't need to be afraid of, right? Losing those benefits like that. So you can take those on yourself, and you get to take the tax write-off of having the health insurance and that kind of stuff as well. You touched a little bit about financial stuff. Financial planning, I think is vital for any practice. What
Yes.
should someone know about the financial side of starting your private practice? When they get going, what are some of the things they should be thinking about as far as finances go?
You have to be willing to spend money on getting the right people. In my opinion, having an excellent quality biller is extremely important so that you're regularly having revenue coming into the business. It's important to have a good CPA, somebody who's very experienced, that's going to help with your tax savings in the business, a healthcare attorney to make sure that you pass all the regulations you need. In terms of following finances, I think QuickBooks is very useful. An electronic way of doing that. I check the account on a regular basis, but I think it's also important to have a business plan. And so I actually had a mentor that helped me work on a business plan. I actually had a marketing plan as well. And those are all things I really use to implement. So, I mean, ultimately, you want to be spending less than what you're bringing in, right? I mean, that's kind of obvious. And I think a lot of times people don't want to focus and think about the money, but the money is really the oxygen for the business. If something happens where the money stops coming in, your business kind of closes. It's kind of like how it goes. Like a restaurant locally that I kind of liked suddenly closed. I don't know their situation, but my guess is they probably ran out of money and they couldn't pay their bills and they had no choice but to close abruptly. That's probably what happened, right?
Mismanagement. Yeah, I think, and when you talked about earlier about making 2 times, 3 times what you normally make, right?
Yeah.
Some people could see that money coming in like, oh, I can spend on this, I can spend on that. And I think sometimes you kind of have to step back and go, wait a minute, I can't spend every dollar that comes into my account. I need to allocate some things for taxes. I need to allocate some things for a rainy day if I get sick. Because if you get sick, no money's coming in, right? Unless you got other folks working for you that are help sustaining things. So you really have to have that business plan. Where do you want to be in a year from now, 5 years from now, even 10 years from now? What are your goals so you can keep your eye on the prize, but also keep that money, some money off to the side, don't spend it, but just kind of, have a little nest egg there, invest, whatever, talk to a good investor, and just really, keep your mind focused. It's a little different, right? A little shift from going to work for someone. I mean, you should be financially thinking about that stuff when you're working for somebody, but when you're working on your own, all the money that's coming in, you're the director of all of that and trying to figure out where you need to allocate what and how much to save and all that kind of stuff.
I'm a strong believer in having an emergency fund. For me, I have both a personal emergency fund and a business emergency fund because you just never know what's going to happen. You're going to run into situations. I ran into a situation a couple of months ago with a notorious health insurance company where something happened.
나와 히타이트 사람들에게 가서 말하였다. 나는 이방인이며 거류민으로 여러분 곁에 살고 있습니다. 죽은 내 아내를 내어다 안장할 수 있게 여러분 곁에 있는 묘지를 양도해 주십시오. 그런 다음 아브라함은 가나안 땅 마므레 곧 헤브론 맞은쪽 막펠라 밭에 있는 동굴에 자기 아내 사라를 안장하였다. 아브라함은 이제 늙고 나이가 무척 많았다. 주님께서는 모든 일마다 아브라함에게 복을 내려주셨다. 아브라함은 자기의 모든 재산을 맡아보는 집안의 가장 늙은 종에게 말하였다. 내 손을 내 삿에 넣어라. 나는 내가 하늘의 하느님이시며 땅의 하느님이신 주님을 두고 맹세하게 하겠다. 내가 살고 있는 이곳 가나안족의 딸들 가운데에서 내 아들의 아내가 될 여자를 데려오지 않고 내 고향 내 친족에게 가서 내 아들 이삭의 아내가 될 여자를 데려오겠다고 하여라. 그 종이 아브라함에게 물었다. 그 여자가 저를 따라 이 땅으로 오려고 하지 않을지도 모릅니다. 제가 아드님을 나리께서 떠나오신 그 땅으로 데려가야 합니까? 그러자 아브라함이 그에게 대답하였다. 너는 내 아들을 그곳으로 데려가는 일이 없도록 조심하여라. 하늘의 하느님이신 주님, 곧 나를 아버지의 집과 내 본고장에서 데려오시고 내가 내 후손에게 이 땅을 주겠다고 나에게 말씀하시며 맹세하신 그분께서 당신 천사를 내 앞에 보내시어 내가 그곳에서 내 아들의 아내가 될 여자를 데려올 수 있게 해 주실 것이다. 그 여자가 너를 따라오려고 하지 않으면 너는 나에게 한 맹세에서 풀리게 된다. 다만 내 아들만은 그곳으로 데려가서는 안 된다. 세월이 흘러 이삭은 부에르라하이 로이를 떠나 네겝 땅에 살고 있었다. 저녁 무렵 이삭이 들에 바람을 쐬러 나갔다가 눈을 들어보니 낙타떼가 오고 있었다. 레베카도 눈을 들어 이삭을 보고서는 얼른 낙타에서 내려 그 종에게 물었다. 들을 가로질러 우리 쪽으로 오는 저 남자는 누구입니까? 그 종이 그분은 나의 주인입니다 하고 대답하자 레베카는 너울을 꺼내어 얼굴을 가렸다. 그 종은 이삭에게 자기가 한 모든 일을 이야기하였다. 이삭은 레베카를 자기 어머니 사라의 천막으로 데리고 들어가서 그를 아내로 맞아들였다. 이삭은 레베카를 사랑하였다. 이로써 이삭은 어머니를 여인 뒤에 위로를 받게 되었다. 주님의 말씀입니다.
하느님 감사합니다.
주님을 찬송하여라. 좋으신 분이시다.
주님을 찬송하여라. 좋으신 분이시다.
주님을 찬송하여라. 좋으신 분이시다. 그분의 자애는 영원하시다. 주님의 위업을 누가 말하리요? 그 모든 찬양을 누가 전하리요?
주님을 찬송하여라. 좋으신 분이시다.
행복하여라. 공정하게 사는 이들, 언제나 정의를 실천하는 이들. 주님, 당신 백성 돌보시는 호의로 저를 기억하소서.
주님을 찬송하여라. 좋으신 분이시다.
저를 찾아오시어 구원을 베푸소서. 제가 당신께 뽑힌 이들의 행복을 보고 당신 민족의 즐거움을 함께 기뻐하며 당신 소유와 더불어 영광을 누리게 하소서.
주님을 찬송하여라. 좋으신 분이시다. 알렐루야.
알렐루야.
주님이 말씀하신다. 고생하며 무거운 짐을 진 너희는 모두 나에게 오너라. 내가 너희에게 안식을 주리라.
알렐루야.
주님께서 여러분과 함께
또한 사제의 영과 함께
마테오가 전한 거룩한 복음입니다.
주님 영광 받으소서.
그때 예수님께서 길을 가시다가 마테오라는 사람이 세관에 앉아 있는 것을 보시고 말씀하셨다. 나를 따라라. 그러자 마테오는 일어나 그분을 따랐다. 예수님께서 집에서 식탁에 앉게 해두셨는데 마침 많은 세리와 죄인도 와서 예수님과 그분의 제자들과 자리를 함께 하였다. 그것을 본 바리사이들이 그분의 제자들에게 말하였다. 당신네 스승은 어째서 세리와 죄인들과 함께 음식을 먹는 것이요? 예수님께서 이 말을 들으시고 그들에게 말씀하셨다. 튼튼한 이들에게는 의사가 필요하지 않으나 병든 이들에게는 필요하다. 너희는 가서 내가 바라는 것은 희생 제물이 아니라 자비다 하신 말씀이 무슨 뜻인지 배워라. 사실 나는 의인이 아니라 죄인을 부르러 왔다. 주님의 말씀입니다.
그리스도님 찬미합니다.
참 예수님.
참 예수님.
네, 요즘 지구 전 곳곳에서 전쟁이 벌어지고 테러와 폭력들이 난무하고 있습니다. 그래서 사람들이 죽음의 두려움, 고통을 겪으면서 살아가고 있습니다. 이러한 즈음에 우리에게 정말 필요한 것은 평화, 예수님께서 주시는 평화가 아닌가 싶습니다. 그래서 오늘 저는 여러분들에게 평화이신 예수님께서 우리에게 가져다 주시는 평화에 대해서 말씀드리고자 합니다. 부활하신 예수님께서 제자들에게 나타나셔서 이렇게 인사하셨습니다. 평화가 너희와 함께. 부활하신 예수님께서는 다른 말로 인사하실 수도 있었습니다. 예를 들어 두려워하지 마라, 나다, 이렇게 말씀하셨을 수도 있었습니다. 예수님께서 십자가에서 돌아가시고 무덤에 묻히신 다음 제자들은 유다인들이 두려워서 다락방에 숨어 있었습니다. 벌벌 떨고 있었습니다. 그러니까 예수님께서 두려워하지 마라, 나다, 이렇게 말씀하시는 것이 오히려 더 자연스러울 수 있습니다. 그런데 부활하신 예수님께서는 다락방의 제자들에게 나타나셨을 때 이렇게 인사하셨습니다. 평화가 너희와 함께. 두려움에 가득 찬 제자들에게 가장 필요한 것이 바로 평화라고 예수님께서는 생각하셨던 것입니다. 사실 예수님께서는 사랑이시고 자비이시고 평화이십니다. 그래서 우리는 이렇게 외칩니다. 그리스도 우리의 평화. 진정 그분에게서는 평화가 넘쳐 흐릅니다. 그래서 우리는 예수님께 이렇게 기도합니다. 주님, 저희에게 평화를 주소서. 예수님께서는 평화의 은총을 베푸시는 분, 우리는 예수님께 두 손 모아 평화를 주십사고 간절히 기도합니다. 그리고 평화의 주님이신 예수님을 세상에 낳으신 분은 동정 성모 마리아이십니다. 그래서 우리는 성모님을 평화의 모라고 부릅니다. 성모님께서는 우리를 위해서 당신 아드님 예수님께 평화를 항상 청하시고 당신 아드님의 평화 안에서 우리가 머물 수 있도록 우리를 이끌어 주십니다. 또 여러분은 프란치스코 성인을 잘 아실 것입니다. 예수님의 5 상처를 받으신 이 성인은 우리에게 가장 필요한 것이 다름 아닌 평화임을 깨달았습니다. 그래서 성인은 예수님의 평화를 간절히 청하였고 그 아름다운 평화의 기도를 바치면서 주님께서 자신을 평화의 도구로 써주십사하고 기도하였습니다. 지금 우리가 사는 세상에는 평화를 거스르는 무수히 많은 일들이 일어나고 있습니다. 예를 들어 전쟁, 테러, 온갖 폭력과 착취, 거짓 선동, 혐오, 인종차별, 구조적 가난, 그 밖에도 많은 무수한 고통스러운 일들이 우리 주위에서 오늘도 일어나고 있습니다. 이러한 사태들로 많은 사람들이 고통스러워하고 있습니다. 그래서 복음에서 예수님께서 이렇게 말씀하십니다. 어떤 집에 들어가면 그 집에 평화를 빈다고 인사하여라. 예수님께서는 이렇게 세상으로 나아가서 사람들에게 평화의 인사를 나누라고 우리에게 말씀하십니다. 우리가 우리의 이웃, 우리 형제들에게 주님의 평화와 함께 나아간다면 예수님께서는 우리 인류 공동체 안에 당신의 평화를 꼭 채워주실 것입니다. 그리고 우리가 전하는 이 평화는 그저 인사로만 그쳐서는 안 될 것입니다. 우리는 먼저 이렇게 평화를 전하고 프란치스코 성인처럼 기쁘게 이 세상 안에서 평화의 도구가 되어야 할 것입니다. 그리하여 오늘부터 여러분은 여러분의 가정, 여러분의 신앙 공동체 안에서 작은 평화를 실천하는 하루를 이어가시기 바랍니다.
되려 국익에 손해가 난다라고 할 때에는 국익이 가장 중심이 되는 관점으로 우리가 논의를 해야 된다라는 얘기를 하셨습니다. 네, 그 부분은 혹시나 나중에 제가 조금 더 뒷얘기를 할 수 있을 때 말씀을 좀 더 드리는 걸로 하겠습니다. 네. 네. 아, 죄송해요. 의정 갈등 부분은 오늘 그 대수보 회의에서 제가 나온 얘기를 거의 다 말씀을 항목은 드린 셈이라서요.
오늘의 주 하나님 찬미 받으소서. 주님의 너로 오신 은혜로 저희가 땅을 일구 얻은 이 빵을 주님께 바치오니 생명의 양식이 되게 하소서.
네.
하느님 길이 찬미 받으소서.
최민식입니다. 그 오늘 회의에서 부동산 대책도 좀 논의가 더 됐는지 궁금하고요. 그리고 대통령의 그 맛보기 발언이 파장이 굉장히 큰데 그 시장에서는 LTV 강화나 아니면 전세 대출에 DSR까지 적용할 수 있다 뭐 이런 얘기까지 나오는데 실제로 금융당국으로부터 보고를 받으신 게 있는지 궁금합니다.
첫 번째에 대해서는 저희가 이제 대수보 회의 같은
오늘의 주 하나님 찬미 받으소서. 주님의 너로 오신 은혜로 저희가 포도를 갖고 얻은 이 술을 주님께 바치오니 구원의 음료가 되게 하소서.
대선을 치르는 과정에서
하느님 길이 찬미 받으소서.
속도감 있게 해결하자라고 했던 부분들에 대한 점검과 대안들을 하나씩 마련해서 속도감 있는 해결을 보여주는 자리라고 그 논의가 많이 이루어진다고 보시면 될 듯합니다. 그래서 지금 만약에 또 논의가 되면 다음 대수부 회의에 올라올 수 있다. 그래서 첫 번째 말씀하신 그 부분은 오늘은 다뤄지진 않았다 말씀을 드리고요. 그 부동산과 관련된
형제자매
이야기는
여러분, 우리가
아까
바치는 이
그 대통령께서
제사를
말씀하신
전능하신 하느님 아버지께서 기꺼이 받아주시도록 기도합시다.
사제의 손으로 바치는 이 제사가 주님의 이름에는 찬미와 영광이 되고 저희와 온 교회에는 도움이 되게 하소서.
하느님, 이 신비를 거행하는 저희에게 구원을 베푸시니 이 성찬례가 하느님께 올리는 합당한 제사가 되게 하소서. 우리 주 그리스도를 통하여 비나이다.
아멘.
주님께서 여러분과 함께
또한 사제의 영과 함께
마음을 드높이
주님께 올립니다.
우리 주 하느님께 감사합시다.
마땅하고 옳은 일입니다.
거룩하신 아버지, 전능하시고 영원하신 주 하느님, 우리 주 그리스도를 통하여 언제나
We
어디서나
actually vet our
아버지께
sponsors. We
감사하며
don't just take their money and run like a butter bar lieutenant lost on the land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op.
Some music there too, but super easy to find. I think 6 hours we were there. Not definitively say it wasn't. So that stuff's starting to clear up, and so I'm starting to feel a lot better. It was getting pretty depressing on me at times because my eye would hurt. It would physically, it felt like there was always a piece of dirt or sand or something in my eye all the time. When I blinked, when I didn't blink, whatever, and it was driving me crazy. And at one point, I went to the doctor and said, "Doc, mentally, I can't take it no more. You got to fix this. I mean, I know you don't understand what in Iraq is. It really helps a lot with allergies. On the beach with fans, you didn't shut the windows. We were outside 18, 20 hours a day. My eyes know that, you can try your best and do things to help out what the doctor was doing along with yourself. And I think that's pretty important. That goes a long ways, too, with your mental health. And I was talking to a young lady. I'd met her at Kaina, the restaurant that I work at, but I also eat there. And this was a young girl. His little son come in. He shared some with his son. And he was so happy over that, right? It's a little thing, right? It's just food, right? It's just food. But to him, that comfort.
참으로 마땅하고 옳은 일이며
저 질문은 그 남동생에 관한 건데
네.
제 밑으로 이제 여동생 있고 남동생이 12살 차이가 나는데 제가 초등학교 6학년 때 이제 태어난 남동생이었고 부모님이 이제 일을 해야 돼 가지고 여동생이랑 같이 주로 이제 동생을 돌봤는데 많이 이제 뭐 다투면서 이제 동생을 이렇게 좀 따뜻하게 대했다기보다는 솔직히 좀 잘 못해줬었던 것 같은데 고등학생 때 이제 부모님이 경제적인 이유도 있고 뭐 불화도 있어서 둘 다 집을 나가시면서 이제 여동생도 조금 먼저 집을 조금 일찍 독립을 하고 그러니까 동생이랑 좀 둘이 오래 살았거든요. 그래서 13살 때부터 33살, 34살 될 때까지 둘이 계속 살았는데 제 고민은 이제 남동생이 뭔가 연락이 오거나 뭔가 이렇게 요구를 뭔가 대화를 하면 마음이 편안하지가 않고 이제 그냥 짜증이 나고 그냥 다 못마땅하고 뭔가 다 불만스럽게 보이고 사실은 미안한 부분도 있는데 약간 좀 심리적으로 저하고 남동생하고 조금 이렇게 오래 같이 있었다 보니까 좀 그런 게 좀 아직 뭔가 독립이 안 됐나 이런 생각도 들고 그래서 사실 동생이 군대 갔을 때 엄청 울었거든요. 근데 군대 가고 다음날 바로 너무 행복했어요. 왜냐하면 너무 마음이 가볍고 이제 뭔가 짐이 하나 없어진 것 같고 이제 비로소요 이제 내가 내 삶을 산다. 그래서 나는 절대 이제 결혼을 뭐 하는 건 상관없는데 아이는 안 낳을 거다. 왜냐면 20년 동안 뭔가 그 어머니 아버지 대신에 뭔가 스트레스도 좀 사실 많이 받았었고 이게 조금 마음이 복잡해가지고 동생이랑 좀 이렇게 편안하게 좀 대하고 싶은데 그게 좀 잘 안 돼서 질문 드립니다.
생물학적으로 이제 새끼를 낳게 되면 모든 짐승이 새끼를 낳게 되면 새끼를 보호하는 것은 유전자적으로 이 생물학적으로 자동으로 새끼를 자기보다 더 소중하게 보호하도록 돼 있어요. 자, 그렇지 않는 경우가 가끔 있다면 그거는 이제 정신질환에 들어갑니다. 이 생물학적으로는 그렇게 될 수가 없게 돼 있어요. 왜냐하면 그렇게 새끼를 보호하도록 안 돼 있으면 종이 번식을 할 수가 없잖아. 종이 유지될 수가 없다. 이런 얘기예요. 그러니까 모든 생명은 어떤 위기에 처했을 때 자기 생명을 자기가 지키려고 하는 본능이 있어요. 그러니까 여기 만약에 폭탄이 딱 떨어진다 그러면 딴 사람을 보호하겠다 이런 생각 없고 자기부터 먼저 도망가게 돼 있어요. 그거는 누구든지 자동으로 그렇게 돼. 그걸 갖다가 나쁘다 이렇게 말하면 안 돼요. 이게 이제 딱 떨어진다 그러면 딴 사람을 보호하겠다 이런 생각 없고 자기부터 먼저 도망가게 돼 있어요. 그거는 누구든지 자동으로 그렇게 돼. 그걸 갖다가 딱 떨어진다. 그러니까 모든 생명은 어떤 위기에 처했을 때 자기 생명을 자기가 지키려고 하는 본능이 있어요. 그러니까 여기 만약에 폭탄이 딱 떨어진다 그러면 딴 사람을 보호하겠다 이런 생각 없고 자기부터 먼저 도망가게 돼 있어요. 그거는 누구든지 자동으로 그렇게 돼. 그걸 갖다가 나쁘다 이렇게 말하면 안 돼요. 이게 이제 이 생명 보존의 본능이란 말이에요. 자기 보존의 본능이란 말이에요. 근데 이제 새끼를 낳으면 새끼가 성체가 될 때까지는 그 어미의 입장에서는 자기보다 새끼를 또 소중하게 여기는 이런 본능이 생겨나는 거예요. 이게 이제 우리가 보통 말하는 모성애다 이래 말하지만 이게 이제 종족 보존의 본능이에요. 이 종족 보존의 본능이 없으면 그 종은 소멸하게 되는 거예요. 이제 그래서 자기가 만약에 아기를 안 낳겠다 이렇게 해도 난 절대 아기 안 낳아, 아기 못 키워 이래도